Every yes could be costing you tens of thousands of dollars. And the scariest part, you probably don't even realize that it's happening until you are completely spread too thin, burnt out, and wondering why you even said yes to all of these different things in the first place. And even worse, your best opportunities, they're gone because your calendar is filled with everybody else's priorities. When you're first starting a business or trying to scale your first consulting offer, it's easy to say yes to everything because you don't want to miss out on what could be a good opportunity. You want to be helpful. You want to be generous. But what if I told you that many of those yeses are actually slowing you down? Today, I'm going to share with you a system that I use to pre-plan my yeses so I'm not making emotional decisions on the fly. So before we get started, let me take you back in time a little bit. For years, I genuinely struggled so much with saying no. And not just to the big things like taking on an unpaid client or a massive unpaid speaking gig. I'm talking about the small asks, the ones that don't take up a lot of time, but take up a ton of your energy. Like, hey, do you have a few minutes to look at this? Can I pick your brain about this over coffee? I love being helpful. And if we're being really honest with ourselves, I think a lot of us love the feeling of being needed. And I used to tell myself the same things that you're probably telling yourself too. It's just a few minutes. It'll probably lead to something down the line. But energy-wise, focus-wise, I was constantly getting pulled out of my lane. And here's the thing that nobody talks about. Every time I said yes to something that wasn't aligned, I was quietly saying no to the things that really mattered. No to what it was that I was committed to building. No to making sure that I have enough margin in my schedule to transition from being a parent to my workday, and then from my workday back to being a parent. So in doing that, I would build businesses technically, but I was operating as an overworked assistant to everybody else's priorities. I felt resentful towards my business and tired. And then one day something shifted. I was on a call with a contact that works in philanthropy. This family office gets hundreds of requests every year. It's hard because everybody needs assistance. And how do you say yes or no to any of those organizations? But then she told me, we don't decide in the moment. We decide in advance the criteria for who we fund. And it's not that any need is more urgent than the other. It's just that we have our own priorities on who we provide assistance to. And if it doesn't fit that preset criteria, the answer is a polite no. And I remember just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I'm missing. I need to have preset criteria for my own yeses and nos. As entrepreneurs, as new consultants, we operate like there's no filter. Everything can be an opportunity. So I thought, what if we adopt that foundation mindset? What if we pre-decided our yeses so our energy wasn't taken up by all of these micro decisions that come across our desk every day? So that's what I started doing. I call it my yes filter. It's just a simple mental framework that helps me decide in advance what I am energetically available for and what I'm not. And so what's wild is the minute that I started using this filter, something amazing happened. The right people respected it. The wrong people disappeared. In my business, it grew faster than ever because my focus and my energy, they were finally in alignment. So let's talk about the first rule of the yes filter, which is to pre-commit to your biggest priorities. When you're building something important, like creating a new business or starting out as a consultant, you can't afford to entertain everything and everybody that wants your attention. When we don't commit to our priorities in advance, we make decisions based on fear of missing out or maybe thinking that somebody else knows more than us. So right now, while you're watching this video, I want you to challenge yourself. What would be the single most first or second or third priority activity to help you get to where you want to go? And only commit or say yes to those priorities. Rule number 2, define your no criteria. Because it's not good enough for you to just know what you're going to say yes to. you need to also know what you're going to say no to. Most of us really struggle with this because in the moment, it's hard to say no if the request is reasonable or if the cause is meaningful. And that's where your no criteria comes into play. So here's some ways in which you can say no in a way that's very polite and kind, but also sets that boundary. I don't schedule one-off brainstorm calls, but I do offer paid strategy sessions. Is that something you're interested in? I would love to speak at your upcoming event. My fee for speaking is $3,000. Does that fit within your budget? And then this is the key. You need to stick to it, not because you're unkind, but because you're clear. And the third rule is to limit your yeses by category. We all have different buckets in life. We might have a spiritual bucket that we love to fill by participating in church or temple activities. We have a family bucket that is really important to us so that we can show up fully in the lives of our spouse and or kids. And then we have a work bucket in addition to that, and that deserves very focused energy as well. But what you don't want to do is have all of your priorities in the work bucket, for example, which would just result in overworking and probably missing out on some really important family time that you wouldn't want to miss. So many of us think in terms of, is this a good idea? But a better question might be, is this a good idea for right now? So here's how I started handling that. I only say yes to one priority per bucket at a time. For example, I might volunteer at my kids' school in one role at a time. And then when it comes to my kids' activities, they're allowed to do one sport a season. So this is a way where we can decide in advance where our energy goes. This is about being balanced and effective. So when you say yes per category, you're able to go deeper on each area of your life that matters to you, allowing you to build more momentum. So ask yourself right now, what are the main buckets that you want to prioritize in your life, and where do you want to focus? And what is the highest priority item that you're going to say yes to in each of those buckets? That's it. Until something's complete or it rolls off, everything else is a no. This rule alone will save you so much energy. So this is what I want to leave you with. Saying yes in advance is not something that you start implementing once your business takes off. It is the reason why your business takes off. This is how you get to protect your time, your energy, and your capacity to serve. When you pre-plan your yeses and decide in advance what your nos are going to be, when you choose depth over distraction, you create the space that you need to not just grow a business, but to live the life that the business is designed to support. And more than anything, that's what I want for you. So if this resonated and it encouraged you to stop saying yes out of guilt or fear, and you want to go deeper, I would love to do that with you. I put together a free training that will help you create a premium, freedom-based consulting offer, one that protects your time, your energy, and positions you as the go-to expert in your space. So check out the link to that training below. And if you enjoyed this, I want to invite you to go ahead and subscribe. Not just for me, but most importantly for you. So the next time you're feeling pulled in a million different directions, you have the tools and the resources and the encouragement that you need to focus and prioritize. And your next yes, it might be the one that changes everything. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.